Are you sick of watching free educational videos online? Don't you wish you could forego a small percentage of your salary monthly in exchange for additional resources and learning materials? Well, you're in luck. Try Patreon. Sign up today to support the efforts of your favourite YouTubers and content creators. Tens of people are already reaping the rewards of their patronage, and you're invited to join them. Link in the description. Welcome to another episode in the Walking Jazz Standards series. We talk a lot about walking bass on this channel, but not enough about what usually precedes it, the two-feel. The two-feel is an important part of jazz bass playing, and actually allows for a lot of creativity. The two-feel typically comes before the walking bass part, when the melody is being played. We often think of the two-feel as being 2 notes per bar, primarily roots and fifths. This serves to outline the chord progression and stay out of the way of the melody. In its most basic form, this is true, but the great bass players don't play like this. It's far more common, and more enjoyable, to play what's often called an open feel, or open two-feel, and that's what we're going to talk about today. In essence, we're still playing a two-feel, but with more room for creativity and interplay between the members of the band. In the same way that a drummer will vary the rhythms they use, or a pianist or guitarist will vary their voicings both melodically and rhythmically, so too can we as bass players respond to their ideas or interject musically with ideas of our own. I've prepared a sample bass line for The Days of Wine and Roses, featuring the types of rhythmic and melodic ideas that you'll commonly hear in this so-called open feel. So let me first play it for you, and then we'll break it down. Before we go any further, I should mention that I wrote this part out in AABA form. That's not technically correct. It's really an ABAC form. But I'm not going to go back and change it, so you'll just have to deal with it. Alright, back to the video. As we work through this bass line, try to visually cut each measure in half. The time signature indicates 4 quarter notes per bar, but I want you to try to think of it more as 2/2 time, or cut common time, with 2 half notes per bar. The first A section uses simple rhythmic variation. We have stepwise motion in measure 1, an 8th note skip in measure 3, and half note syncopation in measure 4. Measure 6 introduces more movement, with an accent on the upbeat. This gives the line a light, bouncy quality. Also take note of the 8th note rest, which also helps to lighten up the sound. In measure 8, we have our first chromatic passing note leading into the second A section. The first 4 measures are relatively sparse, with more chromatic approaches between chords. In measures 15 to 16, we see a quarter note triplet figure leading to a drop on the C7 chord. This phrase is played using entirely chord tones of G-7, with a chromatic note approaching the 5 chord. Staccatos and accents are a great way to liven up your lines, providing some light and shade through dynamic alteration. The quarter note triplets and half note syncopation return in measures 17 to 18, along with a brief stint of walking bass. It's okay to do this during a 2-feel, but not for too long. Measure 22 is interesting for its harmonic note choices. Starting on the 9 of G minor 7, A, we're delaying the resolution to the root note until beat 3. After all these adventures, we return to half notes to finish off the B section and calm things down. Measures 25 to 26 feature rhythmic and melodic devices discussed in previous sections. Measure 26 uses stepwise motion to the B-flat 7 chord, where we see our first and only triplet embellishment. Note the way it's articulated with percussive notes. These notes are intentionally deadened to lighten the sound of the triplet. I pinched this idea from Ron Carter. It's of course possible to articulate all notes in the triplet, but I generally prefer to play triplets like this nowadays. We see an 8th note anticipation in measure 29 leading into G minor 7, followed by a brief walking line taking us to a solo break. The final thing I'll say on the open 2-feel is that it is very much an interactive style of bass playing. Jazz is, after all, and interactive music that happens in the moment. With that said, here are a few ways you could interact in this manner on the bandstand. My first point is to simply have a go. Play that triplet idea you like and see what happens. If someone in the band plays something you like, then go with it. Listen to great players. Every bass player is different, with a unique playing style. Find the player that resonates with you and absorb yourself in their music. Great bass players to start with would be Ray Brown, Eddie Gomez, Ron Carter, and Scott LaFaro. Transcribe, transcribe, transcribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.